Me to
Okay.
handle that? You got
I
it.
just
Okay.
pressed, yeah. Okay. Well,
So I'll
thank
watch
you.
and let people in as you go. Oh, Heidi.
Okay. Or did you? Okay, got it. We may have a few more people jumping on, but we want to honor your time, so we'll get started. Students have arrived. We're starting to get some photos of happy faces, and so we're happy to go over those last minute details with you.
Okay.
Some of you are very seasoned at this, and so we always welcome you to join in and add to um, add to the wisdom that we're trying to go over here. So again, Leanne, just you remind me which things you were going to take, but I'll start with a
You
reminder
lead,
that oh,
I'll follow.
oh just a reminder that your host family orientation needs to happen before the student arrives. So make sure that you have that scheduled with your families. You can do that as a group if you live in an area where everyone lives close by, or just make sure you do it individually with families. I know some of you are stretched out in terms of your arrival times of students, so it might make it challenging to do it as a group. Just a reminder that second home visitors, those are the people who are going to be given the photos of that were taken either during the home visit or when the host family gave their application. Those second home visitors, we'd like you to designate the person, and if they're not an LC, then we have a 15-minute training and a background check that we'll be running. Leanne, is there any more than that they have to do?
No, that's it. So it's just
Okay.
like a double check. We used to be able to have like anybody could come in and do the second home visit, but now it has to be somebody that's had the training. So we have this training. This is the second year that we've had to do that.
It's going
But
to be a lot more clear in our
yes.
communication for the person. I know that that was a bit of a hiccup last year, so it'll be very clear, just a 15-minute watch, then doing the background check, and then are paid $50 for each place or each home that they visit. So even if it's a double placement, it will still be $50. Unfortunately, no mileage reimbursement. So it's good to get somebody who's in the community. We are really hoping you can tell us who you're using as your second home visitor and get that to us very soon, so that we have that all in place.
To
Um,
inbound, to our inbound
to
email
inbound.
address. Mhm.
Leanne, do you want to go over student arrival orientations and some of the tricks of the trade that you used to
Sure.
implement as an LC?
So I like to do my student arrival orientations as a group, and I would try to get them all together. I've done different ways. I did it. I used to have like an outline that I would go over with them, but we have these PowerPoints. They're beautiful PowerPoints. It's easy. You don't want to do put them to sleep with it. You want to make it fun. So I used to take them out for a pizza and do it at the pizza place, but you can do it at your home or wherever you feel comfortable, somebody's house, the student's house, but you're setting the stage for a great year, right? So you want them to get to know you, you want them to be comfortable with you. So this orientation is really the time to, start building that bridge where they can ask you questions. If you have a group together, then one person might ask a question, the other person gets the benefit of learning the answer, even if they were a little too shy to ask. Oh, yeah,
Thank you.
okay.
Um, we're getting a lot of immunization questions. Sometimes we get updates throughout the summer. July was heavy with updates. If you don't think that we've given you all of the immunization information for your student, please check in with us. Michelle, I appreciate you following up with me with the student in Middleton. And then also there are some different school registration processes. Does anyone want to share what they've run into or questions that you might have about? registration and immunizations.
Yeah.
We want to emphasize that they are covered by the health insurance, but we know that you might a host family might be in a pinch, and so sometimes people do go into minute clinics or Walgreens. They do tend to be more expensive through Walgreens, and Walgreens doesn't accept the insurance. We ultimately we will reimburse, but we really like to know if you're not using insurance, if you know that a family was in a pinch. It's good to know that up front because if it goes over $300, we have to go through a lengthy explanation process. So it's more burdensome to try to get those reimbursed. Um,
And
the
going to
school,
public health clinics is also, if that's available in your community, that's really a great opportunity for low cost vaccines. The last student I took to one, I think she got two vaccinations and it was $8. So
oh, that's
Okay.
it was
amazing.
a few years ago, but it's affordable and you can just walk in or you can make an
Mhm.
appointment. So,
So she needed to get vaccines
mhm,
here.
mhm.
Okay,
A
so
lot
when
of
they
students do.
come, there may be immunizations that I mean, it hasn't come up, but it hasn't come up for me. But so this is really kind of new for.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't have a student last year, clearly, and so when they arrive, um, okay, they so Tate could conceivably need to get some sort of immunization.
Yeah,
So
very
so
likely.
the students from Kiribati are going to be in Fiji doing their orientation, and that's also when they're getting their immunizations.
Okay, good.
So I know that they're trying to cover a lot of those. So if you have a student from Kiribati, we'll be getting more of their immunization updates probably mid to later August, just before their
Okay,
arrival. And we'll try to be on top of that with getting that to you. But if you're, we don't mind you reminding us too because of
okay.
that. Yeah. Leanne, do you want to mention school physicals and for sports?
Sports physical. So it says sports physical, ask the school. That was
Mhm.
my idea to add that because some schools will take the physical that they had to receive to go on exchange as the sports physical. It never hurts to ask. You ask your school, well, they had this physical. You can see where the doctor signed off on it. Will this count? And if they say no, then you know that it's a no. But if they say yes, then that's one less thing to have to do and pay for, right? So the sports physicals are not covered by the insurance, and they can range from like $50 to $250. So try to shop around, try to find the best place that they can go for, for the bang for the buck. And you can get creative. Sometimes, like a school nurse will do a physical, or if you have a friend that's a doctor, maybe you can talk to them about it. There's um, nothing wrong with trying to use your networks too.
Um, do we want to go into just like a little reminder here of, I just want to go into our slides. I know we put this up a lot, and maybe, if you've been doing this a while, you're sort of like, oh, we know that. But sometimes student behavior comes up at times when we're busy or we're just not checked in, and we might assume that the student is being difficult, especially in the beginning. We see this happening. We see that with both experienced host families and new host families. And so it's just a reminder that you might see like real shutdown behavior, you might see withdrawal, you might see sort of belligerent behavior and very negative impressions of the United States initially. And those are all normal reactions to culture shock and adjustment. So we just want to emphasize that again because it is part of the process. And I think the more we remind each other and I know I need this reminder during the difficult OPS days, that this is normal and that we can journey with the student through it. And The students who get involved quickly and are met with a gentle guidance and support move through this a lot more quickly than students who are shut down or judged. So just a reminder for all of us as we enter in. Uh, I wanted to touch on several different kinds of travel because there are differences in what we look for. Student travel with host family, many of you know that the student or that you will, either the host family or the student will fill out a student travel form. It is just domestic travel, and that is available on the Safe Exchange app. And so you can pull that, and I think it's also in the student handbook. So they can make a copy, they can write the request. We are looking for the dates of travel and where the student would be staying. We're not doing this to be heavy-handed. We're just doing this because the State Department always wants us to be accountable for where the students are. If there is a weather event or a national emergency, we have to be able to account for where students are located. There's also school-based student travel. If that's taking place, we want to know that there is a school staff member, because school staff is vetted by schools on that trip and responsible for the student. We only look at independent student travel second semester on a case-by-case basis. So let's say the student is going to travel alone out to see an aunt that he met at Thanksgiving, an aunt of the host family who's going to host him, take him to the Grand Canyon. This was something that happened a couple of years ago. So he might be able to travel alone, and we know there's adult on the other end meeting him. So those kinds of requests are usually like a second semester and a case-by-case basis.
And
Natural
the adults
film,
that on the other side has to be, they have to have a background check done
yeah.
if you're going to stay with them.
This is something I've learned over the last couple of years. If it's during spring break, we don't do the full vetting because it's considered spring break travel. I don't know why. If there's something about spring break travel that allows there to be, I guess, less vetting. If it's a situation where the host family is going to leave the student in the community and they're going to travel without the student, then we go through the full vetting process with that family if it's more than 2 days. If they're just going to their high school friend's house overnight, we don't vet the parents of the friend for a weekend, stay. Natural family visits are also case-by-case basis after February 1st. And I've touched on the other.
Okay.
And this is a look at the travel form that you'll find on Safe Exchange app. Do you
I
want
just want to say it's the
touch on
Safe
this?
Exchange Hub.
Oh, I'm
The Safe
sorry.
Exchange Hub.
I'm
That's
learning.
okay. Yeah.
Do you want to talk
there's a
about
difference.
finance? Finance?
Everybody wants to get paid, right? Nobody's doing this for the money, but it's always helpful to have that little bit of money coming in. So in order to get that, you have to do what? Turn in your forms. Right? So there's honorarium forms. You'll find them on Safe Exchanges also. So you look on Safe Exchange and find those forms, fill them out, submit them to Inbound at americancouncils.org, and then you can get credit for the work that you've done.
If you're a new LC, please reach out to us if you have questions. You will not necessarily get reminders to turn in your honorarium, and I really want to make sure that both Leanne and I want to make sure you are honored for the time you've put in. So please do reach out and ask us if you have any questions about that. I do want to mention that Emily, who has been really on top of this for the last year, a wonderful member of the team, this was her last day. And so we have an American Council staff person who is stepping in to do that. please reach out to Leanne and I if things are not happening quite as quickly, because as you know, when there's transition, there is always a learning curve, and we want to make sure that things are still timely on your end. So again, feel free to reach out to us even if you have emailed inbound and you are not hearing anything. Leanne, would you like to go into enhancement?
Course, enhancement activities, I always like to think of them as like a field trip. That's one of my highlights of the year. I love International Education Week, like doing the cultural presentations, and I love enhancements. So you need to do at least two of them to get two of the four themes. And the themes have slightly changed from the past, but if you're familiar with them, democracy and government is now government. Leadership and citizenship, that one's the same. Free market economy is the same. And now instead of diversity in
Oh,
American culture, it's just American culture. Um, but it's still the same. You do your enhancement, you can get reimbursement for your costs, and you get paid per student for your enhancement, each activity. So you get paid for each activity and for each student that's involved in it. Any
I
questions? Any ideas? I think
I
enhancements are fun to talk about.
if I partner with the other LCs in my area and I take like 3 of their students, then does that become a student that I took on the enhancement? Or no, because I'm not their LC?
So if you're doing, that's a good question. I've never had somebody do somebody else's enhancements. I've had them like join together so that they have them all together. So then you would get paid for yours and they would get paid for theirs.
No, she
But
can do it that way because that's how we do it at
that's what you
Wisconsin.
guys do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So do you get paid for Heath's? You just turn it all in.
Yep.
Okay. There you go.
Thank you.
and that's why we love having the experienced LCs on here. Krista, I would like to introduce you to Heath and Michelle. They do a Chicago trip, and you are in Holland or Hudsonville. So, is that usually springtime?
Yeah,
So,
right
Krista,
now,
Try and do it around May sometime when
Okay.
it's hopefully a little nicer.
yep.
yeah. So I know there's a train from Holland, or obviously driving distance. But so Krista is supervising a student from Kiribati. So, and Heath has hosted a student from Kiribati. So, yeah, just know that these folks are here, and if you had a common meeting point, I think you would all enjoy a day in Chicago together.
I'm sorry, I'm so distracted by Mona's face that's become a dog.
At first, I thought it was like one of those things you can put on yourself, and I'm like, no, that's an actual dog. It's like
Just my dog walking my screen. Oh, she's been sitting like this for a while now. I cannot see anything, but she's taking good notes, I tell you.
Oh,
Oh,
good, good.
Fantastic. Good girl.
I'm
I keep
we're
like trying
bringing.
to look around her and she keeps moving like, no, I'm seeing this.
That's great. If you're planning, people get really creative. We have mentioned to other LCs that some LCs are not as active in doing enhancements, and so come probably like what would you say, March or April, you may want to check in because quite often there's extra enhancement money, and so we would borrow from areas where people were not using their enhancement funds to supplement your ideas if you've got a springtime trip. So just keep that in mind.
I love that some people do trips. You don't have to do a big thing to have a fun enhancement, though. You can do a trip to the museum or something like that too.
These are
Okay.
just examples of different enhancements
Great.
people have done.
Right? If
Yeah.
you can write it down and explain why that covers that theme, then you're going to get credit for it.
Yeah.
Use your creativity.
This group of students, I know Michelle and Heath recognize a few of these students. They did a camping trip at the beginning. A lot of the the gathering in the beginning, if you have a cluster, is really important because they get to know each other and then they have each other as a support network throughout the year. But do also what you love. Ariana in Cincinnati loves to camp and to get out on the water, and so she took her students for a camping trip and a canoeing kayaking trip. It was really fun.
I love that she did that at the beginning of the year. I always did a camp out with my students at the end of the school, after the end of the school year, right in May. So I love the idea of doing that kind of bonding
Yeah.
trip at the beginning. Fantastic. Student safety. We all want our students to be safety and happy and healthy, and we're their advocate, but we're also wanting to make sure that they get home safely to their parents at the end of this exchange. So there's lots of things that we need to watch out for. You are the expert on this slide, I think, Heidi. You want to talk more about it?
Oh, I don't know that I'm an expert, but so we're going to go over the dangerous, risky activities that are not covered by health insurance. We're going to touch on internet use. I just had a conversation today with our US program folks who are getting ready to do the PDO in Fiji, and how important this internet, if you're not used to using social media platforms regularly, just navigating how to do that in a safe way is important, and they will need adult guidance. Many of the students. Let's see. Well, we talked about supervision during travel, and I'm just going to touch on some sexual harassment and abuse issues, how we handle bullying, and then some of the red flag issues that students are always asked in their student reports, whether things are coming up around some of the issues that they're sort of pre-prepared to encounter when they come. So this has changed over the years. So if you've been LSing for a while, you might see new things that were not listed in the past. But basically, the two activities that I've seen students be able to take part in are skiing and horseback riding if they buy some supplemental insurance. So we've talked about sharing. Actually, Amanda's going to share with us what other placement organizations are using and are the go-tos for extra insurance. But it's kind of a long list, and sometimes it's disappointing depending on where you're living. If you're in a rural area or Alaska or a snowy area, snowmobiling is a staple for many people, and that is not allowed, along with other driving of motorized vehicles. So keep that in mind, because we want to keep them safe and have them go home in one piece.
I have a silly question when it comes to that for you, Heidi.
Yeah,
It says
there's no silly
it
question.
says rock climbing.
Right.
Is there a specific difference?
Leanne and I want to
We
explore
were
this
discussing
because,
that.
yeah,
Yes.
because
Because,
I thought
like,
it was
if you go to like a little county fair, they have these little rock climbing walls and you're all strapped in and whatever else, versus like going, actual cliff
Outdoor.
climbing type thing.
Right.
So I was under the impression that it was allowed in a controlled, like a rock climbing gym or something like that, where there's a like trained person in charge of, making sure that they're safe and whatever, watching them. But I see this on here on the slide, and we realized that we need to talk about that.
Well, I've asked
because
Amanda this question. I asked her this question, and she said
good.
that indoor is not allowed either. Now,
Okay.
did I take my host students rock climbing when I was hosting? I did. So I know you sign a waiver, but I think the question that you're asking, Heath, is like that's even less what you're describing. That's like at the county fair is even less hazardous.
Correct. You're talking like a 20 or 25-foot wall that little
Yeah.
kids can do. And sometimes
Yeah.
these kids actually want to do this because it's something
Yeah.
they can't do.
Yeah.
And that's a
And
pretty
even
good list
REI
on that.
has one in their store, like some of the outdoor outdoor stores have those in the store. Um, I will ask her again. The answer I got was no, but
Right. So
it's
I see that I was thinking that trampolines were off limits, but they're not on there. They're not on the list. So I guess trampolines, even though they're
And water
pretty
ski or
dangerous, water ski.
uh,
There's it's the insurance that sets these rules, not us. So it's what the
yeah.
That's
insurance says
crazy
that
because
can be allowed.
my son broke my son broke two bones at the trampoline, so
The trampoline
I don't have to
park.
worry about me taking my student.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's
What
definitely
about,
a
I
dangerous
don't
sport.
see them on here, but like now that, I mean, there's such a rise in like electronic scooters and e-bikes, is that something that we need to be concerned with?
I think students have used those in DC, haven't they? Those electric scooters. Gosh,
Again,
it's been
I would
years
say
ago.
if you have a question, let's take these during the year as case by
Yeah,
case. I don't know because it keeps changing, and if it's not
right.
on
Okay,
here,
I just,
well,
it's,
If it's
I
not
mean
on the
it says
they're
list,
motor.
everywhere here.
It says motor scooter on here. So
Yeah,
right.
but
again,
I
you
was
did
thinking more like a motorbike. Like that's, I guess
Right. A
that's
motor
not
scooter
necessary.
has different
Yeah,
definitions, right? So it could be like
yeah,
those
that's
little,
not
like moped type things, right?
right.
That's
That's what I
almost a
was more thinking
motorcycle.
about. Yeah.
Yeah.
and you have something on here. It says windsurfing, but what about just good old surfing?
Is fine.
they can surf. Yep, our kids in Hawaii go surfing. So
So, okay.
yeah, I know. I'm looking at this and I'm realizing like this is what insurance says it won't cover, and it doesn't necessarily make sense.
Yeah, it's
That this
an
is what
understatement.
so double check the handbook, check in with us, and ultimately we can check with the people who decide what the guidelines are, and we'll go from there. I wish it was clearer. We just, touched on it as we were coming in here. I think you can, those of you who do this a lot, I know that you have ways of talking about this where it's not heavy-handed, but just always reminding students that what is confusing to them is that they're told to make everything public before they come here in order to get their J-1 visa, so that they can be vetted. And then we ask them to just share with friends and not have it be a totally open account in terms of their social media. So it's confusing because we give them two different messages. But I think once they are here, it is safer for them as minors to have more controlled settings and not be as public as they were when they were going through the vetting process. And just a reminder about, every year it seems like we have someone post something about like their host family or their host sibling, and or something that is not appropriate. And so we just want to head those off before they happen, right? Just kind of reminding them that they're representing their country, that program themselves, and that these things that get posted are out there forever. So to be thoughtful about what they put out. We just really want to emphasize if a student is having a situation with bullying, you are in the trust building stages of your relationship with them when they arrive. And when they do open up to you at some point during the year about a negative experience, if you can try not to downplay it, but just to listen, to not make excuses for the behavior, even if maybe you interpret it differently than the student. We just want to really allow for them to be able to share, right? To be able to share what their perception of whatever happened was, and then try to guide them in how they can respond responsibly, because you are there as an advocate for them. We do have a sexual abuse training that is available. We don't require it as of right now, called From Darkness to Light. And it's just an important reminder that a lot of these things happen to people under 18, that 90% of the people who are abused knew the person and had grown to trust that person. And so as LC, as you're listening to what your student is doing and who they're spending time with over time, just always kind of being aware that they minimize opportunities where they're just alone with an adult who like you're not aware of, who's not vetted. Always be open to conversations and then begin to recognize signs of when a student may have had something that made them uncomfortable or even something that was a violation. And then we just ask you to react responsibly. They may not tell you right what happened. They may just ask general questions about sexual interactions, or they might tell a story about someone else in order to gauge what your reaction is. And they will often shut down if your reaction is negative or emotional or, strong. So just keeping yourself regulated in those conversations and being really open to listening and allowing space within the conversation will allow more information to come out. And again, just being aware if there's a coach or a person who the student has encountered that's really trying to spend a lot of time alone with them. These students are more vulnerable because they aren't close to their families. And people know that they're really far from home. So just being maybe extra cautious. We did have a student, not in our program, but a State Department official who I meet with when we have OPS issues, explained that there was a student who didn't report anything all year because she had been threatened by the perpetrator that she'd be sent home immediately, which would not be the case. So we don't want to ever give that impression that the student is sent home for something that an adult did. And then these are just some of the signs to be aware of. So, they're signs that don't match, like behaviors that don't match maybe their age, or just starting to withdraw, experiencing failures in grades, things that you didn't see initially when the student had arrived. So just being aware that students don't always tell us with their words, but you can always read what's going on by behaviors. And then we're just, within this training, we just ask that the way you react is if they disclose anything to you, that you're just trying to find out information. You're not trying to solve anything. You're not trying to come to any conclusions. Just collect the information shared with you and then share that with American councils. And just encourage them if they are beginning to open up. So there's more about this in the student handbook. The students get information about this in their preparation. But I think it's worth touching. I don't know that, I don't know if we ask you to touch on it, but just really just kind of have the awareness that you keep this all in mind as you're supervising.
That used to be a section in the student orientations.
Okay.
The student arrival orientation there's a section on sexual harassment.
Okay. So I'm going to stop the share and I'm just going to open it up for questions. We tried to cover like the nuts and bolts of things that are coming up right away in August, but also get into some of those year-long supervisory role things.
We should end on a happier note and talk about making sure that you take pictures at the airport.
Oh,
we want to see smiling faces of students, host families. If you're going to the airport, make sure you take some pictures. And if you're not going to the airport, ask for your host families and make sure they send you some pictures from arrival. And yeah, recording first. I don't know how many students I've walked into Walmart or Costco with, and they were like, when they first arrived, and they were, wow, this place is huge. So record first, even if it's just writing it down. Like, you know what? The local coordinator Facebook page, if you're on Facebook, is a great place to record those first. Like, let me tell you about my this experience with my student. We'd love to hear those things.
I'll never forget Heath's pictures. I don't remember, you probably remember
Oh, yeah.
the temperature. He greeted his student with like this poster that had what the degree was that day. What was it? How much below zero?
Yeah, it was 123-degree difference from where she left to where she showed up to.
And
It
he caught the
was
pictures
it
as the
was
cold air hit her face.
it was 82 where she left, and it was minus 41 when she got here. So yeah, she was
Ew,
freaking
where
out
do
a
you
little
live?
bit. What's that?
I said, where do you live?
In Wisconsin, we get colder than
Brr.
Alaska sometimes.
Oh yeah, definitely
Love
colder than
Alaska.
Anchorage. I can't remember a time it was ever that cold in my area of Alaska.
Coldest we've had was minus 60, and that was about 7 years ago. But with the wind chill, it gets cold in Wisconsin sometimes.
I mean, I'm in Kansas. It gets cold, but it didn't get that cold.
Uh,
Or you
Michelle
better
and
believe I'm not leaving my house if it is that cold.
Kansas is shorts and t-shirt weather.
Michelle and
Oh,
Heath,
yeah.
since you this is not your first rodeo, do you mind if there's something that you feel like Leanne and I missed, or maybe again insights that you have that would be helpful to someone who's newer to being an LC? Sean has been a host parent for years, but has taken on the LC role in Hawaii. So, any insights?
No, just relax and enjoy the experience.
I have a question. Um, so I don't know how I didn't have to navigate this last year, but what is the best way for students to go about getting a local telephone number?
Thanks for
Excellent
asking. I was
question.
wondering about cell phones.
It's a great question. Leanne, do you want to tackle that one?
Sure. I say if he comes with a phone, and your student is coming
Mm.
with a phone, but if it can work on American systems, then they can get like a SIM card for it, go to AT&T, or they can get even like a Walmart, pay for their minutes kind of plan. But oftentimes host families will put their student on their cell phone plan. If they're with like AT&T, then you can go into AT&T
Right.
and just add them, and then the student can pay them the $10 or $20 a month for it. That's the most affordable way to get a student on a cell phone
If their
plan. If they
phone
get
is if their phone is capable of having a US number.
Yes, and if it's
So I
not,
guess
then that's another question. Please don't
so.
let your host family buy $1,000 phone for their
Right,
students.
right, right.
Yeah.
There are if they can put the word out in their neighborhood or their communities, I mean, people often will have
An extra phone.
older model
Mhm.
phones that are perfectly capable of being the student's phone for the year.
A lot of these
Michelle and Heath, what do you do?
a lot of these newer phones are capable of two separate lines on one phone.
Yep.
So
Oh,
Sure.
what we do, especially the newer ones, obviously years ago, we just kept an older phone of ours and then activated it and let them, so they carried two phones. They just used one as a hotspot, basically. But now
right.
a lot of the new phones can have two lines through the same phone. So you can just take them in and have it hooked up, and they get a separate phone number and everything, but it all works on the same phone.
Okay.
Heidi,
I'll have
Heidi,
Yes, Shauna. Yeah.
what we've done is some research before the kids started coming, and there are a couple of host families that have helped me with that. And we identified at least one company here, it's Mint Mobile. Another host family identified Cricket just because they couldn't get T-Mobile in their area reliably. And we've been in touch with the kids before they're coming, and we've given them some options and said, if you pay for this upfront, when you get here, then it might be easier and less expensive. But we've tried to give them a few options to get them ready, because we've told them you don't really want, if possible, you don't want that monthly commitment to add money on your card or on your phone. And so it did take a little bit of extra effort on our part, but we're trying to get all of our kids aware of the information before they come. So if they have some resources from their parents, they come with a loaded card or, some money, then they can do the best, most economical plan, and then that's taken care of. And so that was one way we handled it.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. I don't think we didn't talk about the stipend. I think most of you know that they're given a $200 a month stipend, but the first installment is $400, which covers August and September. And then the incidental budget is $300. It's a little higher for the USE students because it's a different grant, a different program entirely. But just encourage your host families to ask, like, if school costs are going over 300 with extras, and we want to honor those costs that they have. Like if it's a health related healthcare, we want to reimburse, and then just making sure that those school related costs are also brought to our attention when they go over 300.
The USE students still come with they get a phone and a laptop assigned to them. So you won't have to worry about that, Julie, because your student will come with a phone.
Mm-hmm.
Am I the only person in the Northeast here? Lonely New England? Is there anybody else here from this part of the world?
No.
I'm in New York.
Oh, wait, Marina is there.
Yeah.
Marina, where are you from in New York?
So I'm so I'm in Walton, which is like 3 hours from New York City and like 2.5 from Albany.
Walton, New York. I'm going to look you up on the map and see how far you are. And where's your student from?
So I have 3 students placed this year. So I have one from Poland, one from Kazakhstan, and one from Romania. Wow,
very good. Okay. All right. Well, you're probably my best bet in terms of meeting up for a good cultural thing. Can meet at North Adams or something. I don't know. I'll reach out to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
As we get closer to the spring, I know that the Pennsylvania group last year went with the DMV group to New York City. So, we can start to, you'll get to know each other when you come to the conference or through these kinds of gatherings. And I know that people have made some really good connections together. And then, those folks become your sounding board, your advice givers throughout the year, and then also sometimes planning trips together with your students. Leanne and I are happy to stick around if you have additional questions, but that was the content that we wanted to cover, and just to have you aware of especially the immunization and the things that come up as students arrive that have to happen rather quickly, and so you're ready to tackle that.